Do you think it would have been better to have Code do his
Yes.
invasion at the end of part 1 or to wait until part 2? So, yes to part 1?
Well, no, the joke was I was saying yes after the word better, implying no matter what it was, it would have been better than what we got.
Okay. So, but in all seriousness, do you think it would have been better to have Code's invasion at the end of part 1
Yeah,
instead of, part 2?
I do.
This isn't how I was approaching my rewrites, but I was trying to think about, well, I agree for a lot of reasons. I was just like, "Okay, how can I keep most of the rest of the story similar while incorporating Code's invasion?" And I don't know how,
Here's something
the
funny,
Code part, but
because I don't think it worked in Two Blue Vortex. It's really cool as a fast-paced intro to Two Blue Vortex in general, as like a prologue setup kind of shtick, sort of just getting back into it, like back in the action. Heck yeah, we're freaking here, baby. But it doesn't have the care or intrigue or going into it the investment that Shippuden would have had anyways. I was watching Hot Boy Spicy's Chapter 10 reaction stream today, and it's so hilarious how much it sounds like he agrees with us without even knowing, because he just doesn't care. And he's like, yeah, chat, I just don't like this is boring, and this is like a bad chapter. It's put me in a bad mood. And if next chapter's like this, I'm gonna drop the series. And he's like serious about it. Like, if the next chapter's bad, if the next chapter doesn't make him care, he's just gonna drop the series because it's doing things, but it's not doing things for a reason or for a purpose. Like you're saying, it has the plot, it just doesn't have the story.
exactly. Like,
He said the only
that's
time he
funny because
had
I
an
feel like
inkling of care was Uzuhiko, which is hilarious to me. Yeah, and he's like,
um,
"What are people saying? Like, how are people gassing this up? Like, what are people even saying about this chapter or this arc?" Like, he's so confused. So funny.
so obviously the Nishi part, I'll get that out of the way. The whole his disappearance would tie into Code invading. We already the this part I remember talking about. That's why I know we did this. So the whole reason Code split up the Ten Tails was in response to David beating him, right? So like this would make sense. That's how, okay. How is he going to get past this? He's going to do this, and then Aiden Damon literally didn't do anything anyway, and he invaded while they were there anyway. So clearly, like he didn't care that much. So just remove that scene of chapter 77. Simple. But now my question is, okay, how do you tie in, if possible, omnipotence, Waki attacking Boruto, Mabushiki manifesting, and Code's invasion, and yeah, how do we tie all of this in a way that like doesn't feel too grand?
Well,
I
the
remember
first
we
thing
talked.
we do is we don't end it at chapter 80 something. We go to like the later to mid 80s, if not 90s. That's the first thing, obviously.
But now it's like, what order do these events, and do we start with Code's invasion? Do we finish with Code's invasion, and so on?
I would like Code's invasion before Omnipotence.
I agree. So now the question is, has Kawaki already sealed away Naruto before Code's invasion, or is that going to be something that comes later?
I feel like those events are so not even just close to each other in terms of time, but just ingrained or intertwined with one another that you can't really have anything in between or separate it like that.
So
Unless you're
what,
just gonna
like,
have it at the
what's the
same
setup?
time.
Or say like, well, what's this? I get you could do,
That
um,
could work, yeah.
but let's see, because the way I was thinking about it is, okay, so in this you could use Code's invasion as one of the reasons for attacking Boruto. That is one possibility. I will say before this, but let's assume the same time. Hypothetically, that just so the like, wait, where Naruto go? Oh, Code invaded. Invaders not going to do anything now. Then what? Because one of my problems with Code invading in this case is, how do we like get rid of Code? Because Code should be stronger based off the way he's hooked up and the way he feels about himself. He realistically should be strong, especially with his army, stronger than Shiki and Borushiki. You could argue the team up, beat Code, or make him retreat or whatever. That's fine. In that case, I don't think we can have true essence Boruto. I think we need to have like Borushiki now. So which means Boruto, like Kawaki and Borushiki TV will be hilarious, but
Mhm.
in the
This
end,
is a complete rewrite at this point from what we got, basically. But the way I would do it is I would have. So the first order of events is you would have Boruto still lying to Kawaki and then Kawaki leaving or whatever. Or you could have some time in between. The
yeah,
point is, so in mine, Kawaki isn't necessarily going straight to Naruto because of just Boruto. It's in addition to that, it's because they realize Code is invading without limiters right now. It's because Naruto showed up to save Kawaki in the Code Arc when Kawaki's like, "You idiot, the point I'm here is so
Yeah,
that you don't show up, so you
where you going
don't
with
fight
this?
Code." Yeah, Code's
Because he
stronger
just goes
now,
set him. Yeah,
and he saw what happened before, and the fact that Naruto will risk his life. In this case, he's not going to risk it. In addition to Borushiki and Code, there's too many threats. He's just going to seal Naruto away in the same exact way. So in this case, it's
yeah, I
because of Borushiki, but also in addition to that, because Code's invading. Because Code's invading right now, at the same time Naruto's being sealed away, the village doesn't have time to focus or prioritize on the whole Naruto being sealed away. I hate to say it, but subplot right now. So they're
yeah,
prioritizing the actual threat. I feel like there's a screenwriter word for this, but
yeah.
whatever. The point is, they're
But yeah,
gonna focus on Code because he's the one actually that's harmful right now. Naruto being sealed away isn't an active threat to them in any way.
not only that, Ada could also just in this version just not
I
mention
was
that
thinking that
part
too.
yet.
I
Like
was
she could just
thinking
yeah.
the chakra people, Yamanaka, not you, the Yamanaka detection system. Didn't they pick it up immediately once Naruto was sealed? It wasn't just Ada. Like Naruto chakra signatures just vanished.
But Ada
Case,
could just not tell him regardless.
yeah, I think it'd be fine if in this case, Yamanaka people either just don't notice because they're so focused on Code that they don't even realize Naruto just vanished, or you just don't write the scene in general, and the audience just isn't going to question it because we don't have a reason to question it because the scene doesn't exist.
Well, I think they could also just notice it, but then they don't have a chance to like capitalize on it. Ada just doesn't tell what Kawaki did because Code's invading. Maybe she just says, "Hey, Code's invaded. You might want to head there." So she like almost covers for Kawaki in this case. Maybe
But
she reveals it later on.
I'm thinking
We'll get to that.
hypothetically, if we don't know it, because how do we know? It's because of this scene. Outside of the scene, it would just be speculation that they would immediately pick it up.
I don't know if it matters either way, to be honest. Like
That's fine.
addressing it and just having them be distracted, I think is fine too. I don't think they'd be bad if they notice it, but then they can't do anything about it. Like, I don't see a problem with it.
You know what? Even I'd hate to like divert everyone's attention or like have their things like two things on their mind at the same time so they can't focus on one thing at a time. But they could just pick it up, tell the village, and the village knows and it's like frantically panicking at the same time of Code's invasion.
Yeah, like oh my god, Naruto's gone and Code's invaded. So just like a double whammy, like of
Yeah.
scaredness. Yeah, that works. And
So
maybe like Shikamaru's trying to figure it out, but like he can't or whatever. We'll figure that out. So
yeah.
now, all right, now Code's invaded though. What is Kawaki's next move? Is he going for Boruto first, or is he going to Code first? Thinking in terms of the time skip, to some extent, it's like Kawaki's focus was almost more Boruto the moment Boruto showed up, but it's also wasn't at the same time. So it's like I
Well, who
don't
did he
know
think of first when he
what.
arrived? Did he think that he could take Code first, or did he think something about Boruto first? I don't know if that necessarily
Well, when
prioritizes one or
Bor-
the other, because it could just be who he sees first in that case, or whatever. But
well, okay, so Code's already invaded by this point. When Boruto shows up, Kawaki notices chakra data matches, blah blah blah, and then at the end, Kawaki says, "You finally shown yourself, Boruto." Code's already arrived, and that's how the chapter ends. Chapter 1, he's thinking about Boruto. Then, end of chapter 3, though, Kawaki attacks seemingly Boruto because Boruto dodges and he didn't hit Code, so he had to have been attacked. He attacked Boruto first, actually. So I think in character, we would have to assume he's going to go after Boruto.
yeah, playing Devil's Avenue, he could just be attacking the winner since Code's already taken out. He already thinks Code's defeated, and he can take him out whenever. Or it could be the fact that Boruto
That's
has his back turned on him, and he's just going for Boruto like a sneak attack moment, anyways. Like it's his introduction to the scene, anyways. So might as well do what
I
he can.
agree. So that's definitely a fair argument. Case, I would just look at the dialogue, like instead of "so you finally arrived" Code, it's "you finally arrived Boruto." It does imply more of a focus on Boruto, even though like the obvious writing, of course, you can say that. What I will say though is, regardless, I do think it could be a cool tension if, even while almost like it's actually just like the current situation, even while these Shinju are attacking, Kawaki was trying to beat Boruto up. He was trying to kill Boruto even while this invasion went on. So keeping that in mind, I guess it is kind of in character for him to do this sort of thing from another perspective, and I think it just works for tension, especially in this case because Boruto's not going to one shot him, right? So, well, like Boruto would be like, "Bro, Code's invading. Why are you attacking me?" Like, I feel like that would work
That'd be
in
cool,
terms
yeah.
of like a good tension type of thing. So I
And
like that idea. I think
I
regardless, we'll just make it.
I
Because
like
otherwise,
that.
we have a team up on Code, and then Kawaki betrays them. That's like Naruto and Sasuke versus Kaguya again.
That's what I was
Um,
thinking, is that I would hate to, because it almost feels like a wasted opportunity if we just don't get that final team up of Boruto and Kawaki versus Code. You can even throw Sarda in there, since like she talked to Code first in chapter 1, and then that gives like another reason to establish that relationship between Sarda and Code that might be there in the future.
that's where it's tricky because both obviously can work. Either way, we're gonna run into the same problem. So let's just do one at a time, I guess. Assume Kawaki attacks Boruto first.
Well, plus
Um,
because like
where's
just
that
thinking
gonna
like
take?
in terms of like world building, this is part 1, so these characters aren't way stronger now, and also Code has his limiters off now, so he should be above Ishiki or
Yeah,
Ishiki, or maybe above Jigen at least if you're gonna say that. That's fine.
should be he
But
sh-
he's
he
coming
should
with
be
the
above
Clawgrams as well.
Kawaki and Boruto individually. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. And so
So he
I
should
think
be the
not
strongest
only
one.
I think a cool idea is not only Boruto and Kawaki have all of Team 7 just like Boro, so you throw Sarda and Mitsuki in there. You can
Yeah,
maybe throw Konohamaru in there, maybe Sasuke in there, maybe Shikamaru in there, but just anyone who was there in the Omnipotence arc in general. Maybe even Sumire. I don't know.
yeah. So like I said, I think the best thing to do here would be to do one at a time. So we'll
Yeah.
start with the team up, I guess. Is Code just gonna lose to the team up, or is he gonna like what's gonna? Because it almost feels like they just shouldn't be able to beat Code. But then I'm
No,
like, okay, well then, how do we
they
get him
shouldn't. So I already have a
away?
thing. I'm assuming you already have a thing to defeat Code, but I have a thing to defeat Code. It might be the same, might be different. We'll get to that later. However it happens, this fight is just going to end or change. Oh, the thing with Ada and Damon is they just don't care in Two Blue Vortex to show up.
Yeah, they're
Are
not
we?
getting involved.
They're not going to show up in this case?
I mean, keeping it consistent with what we get to Blue Vortex. Yeah, I mean, the only problem though is you could argue they should for the sake of she cashing in on the point of the clog rhyme.
That's what I
So
was
we could
thinking.
what we could do is just even if they don't, we could have it do something to make the clog rhyme part relevant. Maybe Code sends some clog rhymes over to Ada and Damon. They get distracted, or maybe he teleports Damon away with a clog rhyme, whatever. They get taken out because of Code's clog rhyme in some capacity. That would be for the best.
That can work. I was also thinking, at least Damon, regardless of Ada, if Damon does show up, that would basically force the fight to end. At this point, you could have,
Yeah,
because Konoha is pretty big, you could just have more than one battlefield if the claw grinds are all across Konoha. So maybe instead of like having an 8v1 on Code, because that's way too much on screen at once, there's no way they could write that. You would have like a 4v1 against Code and then a separate 4v1 against Code on a different battlefield because Damon can only be in one place at one time.
obviously, like we'll just get this out there now. One way to end Code's fight is just to have it be like that's when Damon shows up. My problem with that, though, beyond the fact that we've already got COVID statement, is well then how is that going to play into Boruto versus Kawaki? Because is Damon just going to decide I'll let this fight go on though while he's there, or is he going to leave? Like what's going to happen? So I almost don't want Damon to be the way we end the fight, although it can work.
It's not an end of the fight, it's a changing of the fight to allow different events to happen.
Yeah, it depends on the specifics of how you do it.
If we're
Yeah,
going
for
with the
sure.
two different battlefield ideas, what are we thinking? I think Boruto and Kawaki should team up. Sarada and
Yeah, if you're gonna do the
Sasuke
team up
together
thing,
works because the
yeah.
Mangekyo Sharingan. It could lead into that. Maybe Sarada thinks Code kills Sasuke, and that could be how she unlocks the Mangekyo, if you like that idea instead.
This is jumping ahead a little bit, but I do think, regardless of how Code leaves, Mitsuki should be with Boruto versus Kawaki, because I think seeing Kawaki try to kill Boruto could be used to set Mitsuki off, go into sage mode.
Yeah,
Maybe that
that's
is the
fine.
catalyst for Kawaki running away. So actually, that might work. That could be why Kawaki has to run away to save some omnipotence, and then Mitsuki turns on Boruto because of that, and
I
then we continue to rewrite
I
from
think
there.
that's
That's one
better.
option.
That being said, if they're fighting unlimited Code, I think all these characters should be in their peak form that they have in this arc. So I think Sarada should be fighting Unlimited Code with her Mangekyo. I know this all sounds ridiculous in fan fiction at this point. I think Boruto and Kawaki should be in their Karma state. True essence, not in like Borushiki. I guess with Kawaki it doesn't matter either way. With Mitsuki, I think I hate to say it, I think he should just be in Sage mode if he's fighting Code.
My problem with that in character, Mitsuki didn't use Sage mode against Moro when they were all about to die and so on. Like he just didn't. You have to tip him off to some anger level. In that case, I want it to be Momoshiki slash Boruto doing it, not Code.
That's
So
fine.
that it's more emotional because
Yeah.
it's Boruto. If you're gonna go that route.
Yeah.
I would
And
be fine
obviously
with
Sasuke doesn't
Mhm.
die because obviousness. She just thinks he does. We're doing that fake out.
Yeah. But that I don't like in terms of Mangekyo. I know it's sad to say. It technically shouldn't matter. But like I wanted to if she's gonna go into Mangekyo of this, I want it to be like Sasuke's dead in that case.
Yeah. No,
So
I definitely like it that she
um
thinks that Naruto's dead anyways, rather than Boruto is whatever.
see the thing though, what I will admit though is as much as I didn't like the Omnipotence Mangekyo Awakening scene itself, I do like the world flips upside down aspect that applies to all the Mangekyo Awakenings. It's just like
Yeah.
everything they thought was true or thought was possible is gone, kind of thing. And I don't feel like it's even though like Sasuke works for the death of a close one type of thing. How does that flip her world upside down?
I
How does
know.
it
That's
take
why I don't
all the
like
hope
it.
she had
I don't
away?
like the Sasuke thing
That's
either.
my
Yeah.
problem too. What we need for Sarada in this case is something that takes away all the hope she had. Even though like I know in like the case of Omnipotence, it's not that she lost all hope, but it was like, Dad, I have no hope. You need to help Boruto almost. Um, it's like it felt hopeless to her. It needs to be like all hope is lost. Her world's upside down. Omnipotence ironically works for that. I just think the execution was that. I don't know if the death works in that sense for that reason.
That's fine.
We could just have it be where Mitsuki is just he arrives at the battlefield at the end, and then like that's so he's just let's just say he's fighting Clawgrime until the end. So that would just be Boruto and Kawaki in that case.
Do you not
In that
want
case,
Mitsuki
though,
versus Code though? Because I feel like that'd be good to still have it.
I do, but I feel like his Sage Mode Awakening just I'm doing this based off of how they've kept him in character. He's just not doing it. Unless
So what
maybe
if he
Boruto's
does what he
about to
does in the
die.
anime to where he like flares his Sage mode, but he doesn't go into like curse mark stage 2 looking thing?
So that's one option as well.
Because he only really does that when he's angry, anyways.
Or just when Boruto's actually about to die. The problem with that though is he didn't do it in the Boruto fight when Boruto was about to like just like the Deepa situation when Boruto's fist was gonna slam Boruto, that would have been the time for him to do it.
Yeah.
Just like the first Deepa fight. But he didn't because the manga didn't do it. You could just do a thing where like he does it to save Boruto's life and then he like turns it off because he knows better or something. But then I'm just like, how are we gonna write that in there?
Hmm.
It's very tricky. I'll be honest. There was the alternative version as well. If we backtrack, Kawaki goes after Boruto
Yeah.
during Code's invasion. If you want to touch on that first for a little bit,
Well, I was
because eventually we're
thinking,
gonna get to the same endpoint
well,
regardless.
yeah, if
But
Boruto and Kawaki are teaming up against Code, whenever Damon shows up, Code leaves. You could say Damon goes chasing after Code at the second battlefield. The moment Code and Damon leave, that's when Kawaki would just turn on Boruto.
so in that
Because
case, you could do a
Boruto could be
thing to
like, well,
where
let's follow Damon, and Kawaki's like, you're not going anywhere. And then, it goes how you said.
yeah,
Boruto's like, what do you mean? Code's invading. Why are you attacking me? Oh,
that's
yeah.
one option.
Yeah.
If you want to keep the team up for a little bit. So in that case, though, I would have it be where they are just losing to Code. Code maybe is playing around a little bit so that he doesn't kill him in time before Damon shows up.
Especially if Boruto's using his Karma Seal at the time. And he shows
Yes.
that he can't control it as well in the fight to some degree. He doesn't let Momoshiki take over, but some bad thing happens because of it. Maybe he blows up buildings or something. I don't know. Maybe he even hurts someone that's with him. That could be interesting.
With that one, I'm thinking Momoshiki should catch Boruto by surprise to some extent. I like the idea that Boruto is forced to let Momoshiki take over to some extent, but when he does, he doesn't realize how much power Momoshiki has over Boruto. When he does so, he can't do the whole snap your horn again thing because it's gonna be like impossible. Or like in chapter 66, when Boruto starts to wake up again, that just won't be an option now because Boruto stopped taking the pills. And let's just say he actually started using like more of the karma power. Like maybe let's just say he sprouts his horn by like 1 inch in this fight. So he starts to get that because of that Momoshiki controls even better. And so he can't stop Momoshiki
I
now, which he didn't realize that's like a mistake type of thing.
I have a
Um
couple aspects you can go with this. So first of all, in this arc already, Kawaki is like seeing glimpses of Momoshiki around, like in the Hokage office, for instance.
yeah.
So you could have
So
whenever
have him see
Boruto's using the
Momoshiki at
karma in
some
this
point.
fight, he's either seeing several glimpses back to back, just like constantly, or it's like one like long thing that just never goes away. It's almost like
Yeah.
Momoshiki's soul just taunting him. And then also another aspect is this almost rewrites the karma to some degree, but there's like a popular fan theory, or at least there was, that whenever an individual's using the karma seal, they, at least in terms of personality, start shifting towards that Otsutsuki. So like especially like
Yeah.
Kawaki in the code arc, be like, bro, he's acting like Ishiki more and more. Like
That's what
he's
everyone
acting
said.
out here. Yeah, exactly. So in this case, you just have Boruto start acting more and more like Momoshiki, which reminds him. And especially towards the end, once Code leaves, like he's saying things and Kawaki's like almost like fading in Momoshiki's lines, like it's something Momoshiki would say, and he starts saying Boruto as Momoshiki, which especially plays into what he sees Boruto as later.
Seeing.
He can only see Borushiki
Yeah.
now.
Not only like was there some credence to the theory, like I think it works consistency wise because Naruto, for example, even when throwing Sora on the filler arc, the more of Kurama's chakra he used, the more it made Naruto act like a fox in Kurama. Obviously, by the time of KCM, it's like Kurama's not trying to manipulate Naruto, but in this case, Momoshiki could just be doing what Kurama did. So he starts to gain Momoshiki character because even then, like your chakra seems to contain a lot of your soul and your personality and all this shit. So I think it works
Yeah.
consistency with the story wise. The only problem is it never happened before. So I think we want to integrate it into the code arc at some point, maybe, or
I
maybe
think
it's like only when the horn comes out that you notice it, kind of like
that's fine.
Naruto and the one tail cloak, not so much, but when he
Yeah.
gets to like three tails, four tails, it's really okay now you notice it.
Either in the middle of the fight or like before the fight begins or sometime around there, Boruto hears about Naruto vanishing and he thinks maybe Code did it or Code's the reason because of it. And so he gets really mad. Again, he doesn't let Momoshiki take over at that moment, but he starts saying questionable things such as like that damn Code, I'll effing kill him. I'll kill anyone who gets in my way. And then Kawaki obviously would be like sussing that for obvious reasons.
I think I almost like Boruto to not notice this, of course. Saying this would only apply to the anime because you would hear it. A thing where Boruto's talking and then all of a sudden the voice shifts to Momoshiki and then it comes back to
I
Boruto.
know, yeah, I was
And
thinking that too. That's what I
it,
was talking about earlier with the dialogue sort of fading
and
to Momoshiki.
so in this case, the best way to do it is Toad's like in front of them, and we will take a quote from Momoshiki, either like "you worthless Kara drag" or "inferior creature." Like it just slips in there, something like that. You just pick Kara drags is a more subtle one. It's something Momoshiki says
I
about
like
Toad,
that.
but it's not
Yeah.
like inferior creature where it's like, bro, that's Momoshiki's line. But
Yeah.
the point is, be like Boruto talking, and out of nowhere, you just get this one Momoshiki line, and then it goes back to like a normal Boruto speech kind of thing.
Yeah.
I like that idea a lot for this.
So
This build up, the build up to Boruto mistake, him being ignorant of what is going
I'm
on,
I'm
kind of
glad you
thing.
said that. Going into that, this gets a little bit ridiculous, but like since the Code arc and Prophecy arc never really expanded with this, Boruto's mistake would just be, I hate to say it, but like it go because he's already being naive and stupid and irresponsible and immature anyways. It goes back to like his original flaw in the first arc that he's basically cheating and over relying on the karma because he hasn't realized that's
Correct. Yeah.
bad yet. And so yeah,
Yeah.
so this could be why he stopped taking the pills because maybe he likes the power, and then Kawaki can like point it out, like Boruto, you stopped taking the pills, didn't you? Why are you using your karma so much to kill Ko? Why are you relying on this power?
A little skeptical with that one because Kawaki didn't even like the pills idea to begin with. He wanted him to just do the karma thing, but ignoring Kawaki's dialogue here, I think that's a good idea. Maybe what we do is so Boruto doesn't take the pills for twofold. One, because we're gonna write this in. They literally limit Momoshiki's power. They don't fully do that in the story, but we're gonna make it a thing
Yeah.
because it's better. And so Boruto wants to use more of it, and he thinks he can control it because of when he stops Momoshiki at the end of chapter 66. He wakes up and he resists Momoshiki, lets Kawaki kill him. Boruto, then he gets a data reader. He thinks, I think I can do it now.
In
Okay,
fact,
you can say it's stupid. Maybe we write it a little bit better, but that's the idea we're going for. He thinks he can do it because he quote unquote did it before.
in fact,
What he's gonna fail
leaning
to
more on
realize though
that,
is he could only do it because of the pills.
yeah, in fact, leaning more on that, it's because he feels like he can control it better now, that he's not uneasy using it, he's
Nice.
confident using it. In fact, he's comfortable using it. So he's leaning
Yes.
more into it and allowing it to take him over more easily than he otherwise would have. He's not
Yeah.
resisting it at all.
Right. And I think the pills thing's the perfect before and after with this because he took the pills because he was weary of it. And it's because of the pills that he could control it. So now he gets arrogant, thinks he can control it. So what's he want? He wants more of it, right? Got a stronger enemy. So he stops taking the pills, and that's the mistake.
He's no
And then we
longer
let
scared
this
of it.
show itself throughout the fight. And then we give subtle signs, the worthless car drag, I'll finish you off on like last time or something, you throw in lines. And then Kawaki like sees Momoshiki. Even better yet, that's when Kawaki will see Momoshiki all of a sudden when those words come out. And then maybe Momoshiki's smirking, and then Kawaki's just like, bro, like what?
I think
I
that's
think it
all
works.
really interesting as well with the parallel of the Code arc where Kawaki re-manifests his Karma Seal because he realizes the Karma Seal isn't what's evil, it's the Otsutsuki. So it's almost like Boruto's coming to the
Yeah,
same conclusion, but in a different way, and that leads to two different paths. And those different paths are what parallel each other, but they also run perpendicular into each other. And that's where this clash of conflicts comes, where the road just meets. I forget the term of this.
yeah.
The
So
some
in this
crossroads of
manner,
destiny. There you go.
yeah. So in this manner, this is where you could argue the team up is definitely better than Kawaki going straight to Boruto because otherwise we're gonna miss
Yeah.
the whole Momoshiki, slowly coming out with the lines of dialogue and stuff. So might make me lean more in that direction for that reason. Because also otherwise we just get like Code versus Boruto. Because
Plus,
otherwise it's
again,
the whole reason for invading.
yeah,
The reason for
on
invading is
codes,
to kill
yeah,
them, right?
exactly. If code's invading, you need people to freaking fight. Like that's the point of the invasion for the audience, is so that we can
Yeah,
see the people fight code. You just can't not do that. But
yeah,
also the
exactly.
fact
And
that
also
code's so strong, you need to wear him down. So however he loses in the end, it actually feels earned and justified, and not just as a
right,
freaking
yeah.
asshole. Yeah.
The question though is what do we want to do about Mitsuki in particular? Because to some degree, consistency wise, it's when Kawaki goes after Boruto that tips them off. Again, you lose the "you've truly angered me" Kawaki aspect if you do this. You could have it be like Sage Mitsuki follows Code along with Damon, and
Well,
then Boruto gets
I was
stopped by
thinking that.
Kawaki,
Hold on.
but they're
Stop right there.
alone.
You're gonna like this. You're gonna love this. Okay. For anyone
Okay.
listening who's new here, Attack on Titan season 2 spoilers for the next 20 seconds. And Kamui, you probably know where I'm going with this. The Bertolt Reiner reveal, and Mitsuki is
I
just
knew it.
Mikasa. Yeah. So he starts walking away, but he starts noticing, wait a minute, what's Kawaki say? Yeah.
So, but is he already in Sage mode though? Like in this
No,
case,
he
or is he
wouldn't
out of it?
be
Like,
until after.
okay, so he's in base. So I think in this case we could just have it be like Mitsuki just wasn't pushed to do it yet. Just have Boruto not be like almost killed
Again,
in
I
this
think it's
case. Because
fine if
to
he
be
like
fair, if
flares his sage mode, but doesn't actually go into like the full sage mode. And but then once code goes away, he like stops using it maybe, or he just keeps the flare small so he can chase after. So he's conserving it. So back to code. Code's second battlefield of how we think that's gonna go in terms of the actual fight, regardless of the ending. Who would he
So
fight
the
even?
question is, what draws him in that direction? Does Damon just show up and then Code runs away and Damon follows him? Because if
Yeah.
Damon shows up, my thought was the reason. This obviously contradicts the time skip version, but the logic could be, hey, I know you're trying to kill my sister, or rather, you want to eat a chocolate fruit so that you can see if you can kill my sister, type of thing. I'm not letting you go. Like I'm here to finish the job, kind of thing. That isn't exactly what we're getting from Damon, but I think that could at least be reasonable, like a thought process for him to be like, Code's here, why don't I finish him off? And then, of course, in this case, we start to integrate the point of the claw grind. Maybe the claw grind, there's so many attacks that it starts to mess up Damon's reflection, or he's able to teleport Damon just like Code did in chapter 67. So he actually just sends Damon away or something, whatever you want to do with it. Whatever the point of the claw grind was, implement that into this.
Something you're really gonna like. You could even remove the Code versus Damon fight at the end of the Code arc and place it here. Or even take out part of it, I guess, and place it here. I don't know. Either way, the point is, whether this is the rematch of the first time they fight, Code already knows going into it that he can't beat Damon. Maybe he just didn't fight him originally until now because of the claw marks. I don't care. The point is, because the claw marks are still meant for Damon, so I do like this being a rematch, I guess. You could say the claw marks are meant to
I was gonna say you
Damon.
could have it be like he just invades without the claw grind and he just is strong, and then like but then it's like what happened where Damon would be against them in this case. The only reason Damon's on their side is because of that fight. So
here's the thing, is this is the first fight since he got his limiters off, I guess, maybe, besides Damon. And so if you want to show, like you always say, his overwhelming power right after he gets his limiter off, well, you can't say it, you gotta show how strong he is. Not only is he dominating random villagers when AV arrives, and then like his first actual fight now is Karma, Boruto, and Kawaki, he just dominates them. He does them even dirtier than Naruto and Sasuke versus Jigen. It's like the same otherworldly demonic feeling again, to where they don't even stand a chance together, even with their karma. Then Damon shows up.
yeah.
So at that point,
exactly.
Code has already defeated Boruto and Kawaki, and he's about to finish them off. That's when Damon shows up. And then they get like a cool JoJo moment to where they're both walking at each other, cool, badass like, because they're like, oh, they're the actual strong ones. They're the ones who are going to fight now. I like the idea that Code brought the claw mark specifically to combat Damon. In this case, they're going to fight again. It's going to be a cool fight, and Damon's going to destroy all but one of the claw grimes that are near him. So Code's going to have to retreat using the last remaining claw grime. And he does that, and that's when Damon destroys that claw grime and then chases after Code in the second battle.
And so in this case, I think it's important to note, like, from Code's perspective, I don't think he should be thinking, oh, I'm going to dominate you, bro, this time. I think it's more like the point of the claw grime was so that he could kill Boruto / Kawaki, sacrifice and whatnot, without Damon getting in his way. So, of course, he's going to be wrong. Damon will kind of get in his way. And then it's like, all right, I'll deal with you for a bit. Like, let me get you away. Like, let me try to get you out of here again so that I can come back to what I was doing, type of thing. Not that he's planning to beat Damon, but he's just like, I need to remove Damon.
The way I always saw the claw grimes in this invasion isn't to remove Damon. It's to remove himself, or just so that he can more easily move around the village. Because even if Boruto and Kawaki are together, as long as not every single person he wants is in the same room, and I do mean room, not village, because apparently it takes about 2 chapters to run across the village now, apparently. As long as that's not the case, he can just go to someone else that he wants to fight right now.
That doesn't have anything to do with, like, in response to the Damon situation. Like, so it seems like it's kind of both. Like, it is, to some degree, they make the Bug and Code conversation makes it seem like this is going to somehow help him with his problems with Damon, but it's like, it is to be useful. Like, these will help me achieve my goals. But this, I do think it would be nice to cash in on the Damon aspect to some degree, beyond just like the teleporting around, like, oh, now I can go see Sarada, now I can go see Konohamaru, and so on.
The way I first imagined the claw grimes being used in combat, because I imagined they would be, obviously, when I very first saw them at the end of Naruto Next Generation's manga, when he's in the freaking Ten Tails dimension, when they first appear. We got the cool Frieza looking designs with the claw grimes on. We see Code like putting his body parts through. That's how I thought he was going to use it. I didn't think Code himself was going to make an appearance there physically in the village. I thought he was going to
Yeah.
have the Claw Grimes fight, and the Claw Grimes by themselves were going to be really strong. I didn't think they were going to be biting people and turning them into trees. I thought they were just going to be like fighting them. And so they have
Yeah,
the
exactly.
it's not just that. It's not just the fact that the Claw Grimes themselves are strong, each individual one, and
He
there's
would
several
he
of
would
them.
pop his claws out of nowhere through their
Yes.
chest and kill people. Like he would
Yes.
actually fight the way he used to fight.
That's unexpected. Exactly. And it's not
And
just
that's
that.
how
That's a big part of
and
it.
that's why
It's also the
but
fact that
that's
he can
also
use it in creative ways. Is if there's more than one, like he can stick his claw mark through one and through the other one's
Like,
claw
at the same
marks, and it comes somewhere else out. Yeah, it's like a long chain of like 17 claw marks. It's going all over the place.
but that's why it would help him versus Damon, because he could do this random ass shit and be like, okay, if Damon's not reflecting, because at the very least Code thinks Damon can't reflect if he's not touching someone, right? Whether regardless if you agree with it, Code thinks that. So he would think, okay, there's no way Damon's gonna be able to stop this though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, then it would understand. I like that idea. Like, why don't we just write it in? Code will do this regardless.
Yeah.
He will do things
Yeah.
like this.
And so I think
And maybe he's
especially
sadistic about it. Maybe like he does it the first time, he like cuts Boruto. It says like, "Oh, that hurt you." Like, you know, like he's just taunting him before he actually goes for the kill. 'Cause that's in character for him to do stuff like that. I think that's fine.
I think it's
The
more
point is he's
interesting
gonna
on
beat
enemies who
Boruto
aren't
down
Damon.
bad. And same with Kawaki. He's gonna make Kawaki feel a little bit desperate too.
I definitely think people like Boruto Kawaki, and especially Sarada with the Sharingan, are way more interesting to see fight these Claw Grimes using this method than someone like Damon. Because unless you're gonna give his ability a weakness, such as maybe it can't transcend dimensions to the Ten Tails dimension, so Code's intent doesn't apply to him, or maybe it applies onto the body, not onto Code. So whatever intention would only apply onto the Claw Grime rather than Code. So it would scratch the Claw Grime, which Code wouldn't care about that. That'd be fine from his perspective. I don't know how you do it, but yeah, I think fighting actual people is
But
more
you know,
interesting.
yeah, it depends on specifics. I mean, like I said, at the very least, Code thinks that as long as Damon just isn't touching someone, he's just doing taijutsu, you know, he can just won't be able to reflect.
Yeah, it'd be
Um,
like whack-a-mole.
so like he could just not expect it. But then you could also write in, oh, like honestly speaking, this wouldn't even inherently be like much of a weakness, but in this case, the idea that it reflects onto the claw grime because it's the claw grime's body that Code's coming out of, and it just works that way. I am almost okay with that because it's a easy disposable way to have Damon use his ability for it, but basically not matter. So it doesn't kill Code and it makes Code look intelligent. And Damon will still be strong. It won't matter. Damon will be too strong regardless, just like the original Code fight. I think that actually works.
So I'm going to compare this to 3 things. 2 of them you have no idea what I'm going to be talking about, but that's okay. The way I see these Claw Grimes being overwhelmingly powerful, that's not the point of them, but that's in addition to it. It's similar to Vilgax from Ben 10. It's similar to Garo from One Punch Man, especially season 2, and it's similar to Jigen from Boruto. So they are just straight up more powerful than the people they're fighting, but that's not what makes them scary. What makes them scary is their use of their intelligence. The fact that they have an answer for everything. It's not that they'll overpower you. They'll do that anyways. The scary thing is that they're going to dismantle you. They're going to strip away every advantage you could have. So it's not that they're stronger
And
than
I
you, it's
agree.
that they make you weaker as a fighter.
No, I think it's totally fine if you want to keep the idea that Code awakens the claw grime with his chakra or whatever. It does this effect, but like as a side note, do we want to keep the trees at all, or do we just want to remove that?
The Shinju and Boruto, Two Blue Vortex.
Well, I guess in this case
you
it would
mean
remove
biting
people,
people?
like Hidari and Moegi, but not.
I wasn't even thinking
Yes.
they were gonna bite people
So
in
what
the
I was
first place. I don't really care about that.
what I was gonna say is in this
It's fine to
case,
keep it.
you
It's
could
just
keep
Two Blue Vortex,
Jura
man.
if Jura just is the Ten Tails. That's fine. But in the case of like Hidari and them, they would have to go if you get rid of that.
No, that's fine. I think you were saying last night in the Jiro stream, just remove Moegi. The rest is fine. Because you can still do this invasion where no one gets bit, and you can still have Sasuke get bit over the time skip, Bug gets bit over the time skip, and Jura just is someone else, or Kawaki, or whatever. I don't care.
Well, what I meant, well, in this case, they're still going to do the biting, but you're going to say they only do it over time, but not initially.
That can work too, because or they need a catalyst such as Otsutsuki Chakra from Kawaki, which is how I think it happened anyways, because it is over time, because we know it is because of Sasuke and maybe Bug.
But yeah, because we don't know when those happen. But what I originally meant was, do you want to just remove them biting people in general?
No,
Like,
I know,
that just
but
will never happen.
never happen.
So in
well,
this
then how
case,
did
like
you
I said,
give it to the Shinju?
well, you could keep Jura, but you would lose the other Shinju. Because Jura, I say you can keep because you just say the 10 tails turns into him, but you would lose Hidari,
Nah.
Matsuri, and so on. In
I
that
like
case.
Hidari as a concept. I also like Bug
Yeah,
so
I
far for
agree,
what he's
so-
been.
But it doesn't happen in this evasion. It just happens over time.
Yeah.
Coach starts to lose control, like Boruto says. That's fine. So anyway, Coates like basically wins without fully winning. He's beat them down a bit. This could also play into why Kawaki's low on chakra later on.
So at the second
So
battlefield, I
now
think
it's supposed-
Sarada and Sasuke. I think you could also have Shikamaru there, maybe Sumire. Maybe you have Konohamaru if you want to keep Moegi, but no. Just no.
Bro, honestly, like I said, I mean, hopefully they change my mind. I think just don't have Moegi become a tree. Just remove it.
Yeah. So
But
I
what
got
purpose
my
does
main
it serve?
players. Anyways.
Like, Jura's the
so
one
you guys
fighting
know.
Team Inoshikacho right now.
Yeah.
Not even Matsuri, it's Jura doing it. Like the whole point was they were supposed to fight Matsuri, right? They're
Bro, I'm gonna
fighting
laugh
Jura,
when
so we don't
Matsuri
need.
just never fights. In fact, what if the other three, all three of them, fight Konohamaru, but not Matsuri? She just never comes into contact with him, never even sees Konohamaru.
Like literally, like what's the point of like what was the point of her? Like because they wrote in a way for them to get involved already, so we don't need Matsuri.
I don't know.
And Konohamaru's fighting Hidari right now. Yeah, so well, how are we making this look? Are they just fighting Claw Grimes, basically?
Yeah, because Code's gonna pop out of one
Okay.
of them.
When Damon shows up, he's like, "All right, let me go kill people you care." Oh, because he did say, "I'm gonna kill everyone you care about," right? So that's
Yeah.
actually works perfect.
They're on the
So
kill
he's
list,
like-
and especially Shikamaru. I forgot what he said. Like he's at the top of the kill list, maybe. He didn't say that, but he's on the
No,
kill
he
list
didn't
now.
say that. He just said he's adding. He just said he's adding
Okay,
him to
that's
his
fine.
retribution list.
Yeah.
But either way, though, the point is, I like this because what he'll do is, because he's being sadistic about it, he beats them down and then he says, "I'm not going to kill you yet. First, I'm going to take away everything you care about. Then I'm going to kill you." So then he says, "First up, how about that girl, that Uchiha girl? Sarada was her name, right?" And then he disappears. So at this point, I guess shoot. Okay, in that case, Omnipotence hasn't happened. So Kawaki wouldn't care as much as Boruto would. But you get the idea anyway. He says, "I'm gonna kill everyone you care about." Maybe let's just have Himawari be there. I bet you care about your sister, huh? And then Himawari will just be at this battlefield, I guess. Because you got to think from Kawaki's perspective. Sarada works perfect, but not until after Omnipotence. So
Was the plan to take Boruto and Kawaki last anyways on the kill list?
yeah, it was.
Okay, that works, yeah.
'Cause he said he wants to take everything Kawaki cares about. So I
Yeah.
assume he would do it
Before
killing him.
It doesn't make
so
sense to
that
do it
Kawaki
after.
Yeah.
Because the point is he wants to take away the same thing that Kawaki took away from him, which was killing Ishiki
Exactly.
directly.
So he wants Kawaki
Shikamaru
to
wasn't even
suffer for
there.
that,
So Shikamaru's only on the kill list because he annoyed Code. Code
Exactly.
doesn't care to take away everything Shikamaru loves. He just wants to kill him because he's annoying.
Exactly. Like so some of it's personal, like Shikamaru, for example. That's just because Code got annoyed with him.
Yeah.
But afterwards, like I'm gonna take everything you care about, yeah. But I also think it makes sense to start with Kawaki and them because
I think that's interesting. Yeah.
that's
So his motive
because
is to go specifically after Himawari. And then Sarada, Sasuke, and maybe Shikamaru show up to protect her. So he's not just randomly
Yeah.
going there without like a motive or goal and just doing whatever, strung about in all directions. He has one directive.
exactly. Because realistically speaking, he might, or you know what could also work? You may or may not like this idea. He goes for Naruto because he doesn't know Naruto is sealed yet. So he goes to the Uzumaki family house. We're just gonna anime bullshit it. He just knows where
I
that
think
is.
that works better
But
because it doesn't make
he
sense
doesn't-
for Kawaki to stop Boruto if he knows Kode's going after Himawari.
Yeah. So in this case, he goes for quote unquote Naruto. Kawaki's thinking nobody's there.
Yeah.
Why don't I kill Boruto? And then Code happens to stumble upon Himawari instead and says, "Ooh, that's a good idea." But then, so Code's mind might be to bring Himawari back there to kill him in front of Kawaki, but then of course he gets distracted by everyone else. Good time to bring in Sasuke probably, because Sasuke would distract him. In that case, it's personal.
That could work. Like we were saying with Shikamaru already, that's written in the series, is that he just could have killed Shikamaru, but he just didn't. I hate the idea of Code having the opportunity to kill so many people and he just doesn't. So I feel like he might try to kill Himawari here and then just bring her back to Boruto for corpse.
Okay,
Because
but he's still gonna get
otherwise-
stopped either way. That was the
Yeah,
point.
otherwise Himawari's not in danger here.
Yeah, but then like Sasuke shows up, I guess first,
You could
or
say
I guess
Sarada's
Sarada could do it
with
first. and then-
Sasuke, which could be cool. Just traveling together.
I like honestly, maybe we should just have Sarada show up first, and then Sasuke shows up to save Sarada. That
Sure.
feels like very normal for how they would do this. Like I feel like I could see them doing that. So
By the way, is Hinata here? Get that elephant out of the room. first?
no, she got sealed with Naruto.
Okay, that's fine.
She got sealed with Naruto.
Yeah.
Just to keep it the same, because
Yeah.
it would be very weird for him to seal Naruto and just like not Hinata.
Well, like we were saying in the rewrite a few weeks ago, it's just Hinata would be out in town, maybe shopping with Ada, is what we were joking. She just wouldn't know.
Oh right. We could do that if you want.
But in that case, are we doing that so that she's relevant to the story? Like, is she gonna pop up in Two Blue Vortex or in this rewrite?
I don't know, because then
You
that's
could
just
also-
more to add on to
It
the
would just be
thought.
someone more.
Maybe we
to
can just
fight
hold
Code.
off.
Yeah. We'll say
Yeah,
Hinata's
maybe
not
we
there
should
for
just
now,
hold off.
unless we have a reason to bring her back.
Yeah, if we come up with like a big thing, because also
I still
we
like
want
the idea
Kawaki
of
slap,
later
right?
my Borushiki kills Himawari rewrite to where he's like, "Where's that damn girl or woman?" And then he sees Hinata and just keeps flying as the end of chapter cliffhanger. He's like, "There's a
Yeah,
red herring."
but like,
But in that case, she's a plot device.
but
not
you
a
could also
character.
just have the red herring though. You could just have Sarah be the red herring instead. Where's that damn girl? That works. Like, no, that's the red herring. We
No, I
think it's Sarah.
know.
It's actually Himawari.
I know, but like,
It's the
would
same thing.
I personally care as much?
Okay, you got me there.
Yeah.
But would Mello personally care as much? Absolutely.
fair enough.
Yeah, let's just keep Hinata sealed. Just the
Alright.
because then also then we're like really changing to Blue Vortex even more. So
Yeah.
let's try to minimize what we can.
So, is there anything specific you wanted to happen during this fight, or did you want to just jump to the end of the second fight? Versus everyone there.
I don't know because part of the problem is this is where we run into issues though. The Boruto and Kawaki in their karma forms, putting up somewhat of a fight but getting stomped, especially with Mitsuki there, very understandable. But like nerf Sasuke in a base Sharingan Sarada shouldn't be able to last more than 3 seconds against Code.
And
Like,
Shikamaru.
that shouldn't matter.
We could give Himawari her lock-on mode.
Yeah, just have Kurama awaken here.
Ino's relevant in Two Blue Vortex. Maybe she comes. No,
I
but
guess
I
it just
think
it all boils down to when Damon shows up.
yeah, exactly. I think if Code's not full power coming here anyways, if he just fought Boruto and then Kawaki, and then he fought maybe Damon as well, and then he's now fighting Sarada and Sasuke, I think even then he can still kill, or at least think that he kills Sasuke, and then Sarada, if you don't like the Mangekyo, she could just get a rage amp even.
Mm. The second battle is going to be difficult.
Again,
What to do with it?
Lock on.
But also, we need Code to go away for good at some point, right?
So jumping to the way Code's defeated in this arc, I don't care how it is. I think it needs to be through omnipotence, or as a byproduct of it. It has to be because of Ada. In a sense, Ada has to be the reason Code loses here.
I like the idea, but how? This isn't a defeat, but it's a distraction. You could have it to where omnipotence happens, so Code now is going after Boruto, right? But because Boruto leaves the village, Code just leaves on the run after him.
Out of Ada's intense desire, it isn't just a role reversal, at least at first. it could be like a supercharged thing to where it's out of a desire specifically to protect Kawaki. And so if Code's going after Kawaki, maybe Kawaki like has Damon's reflect intent on him for like a temporary time or something. If Code just tries to go after Kawaki, he just gets hurt or defeated, just in general. Just divine power shenanigans.
Yeah, but he would be going after Boruto because of the role reversal.
Just have him not affected. He's already not affected in 2 Blue Vortex. I don't care what you say. He's not think Kawaki's special moves were saying on. I don't care.
Bro, he's affected.
You could say
Sorry.
because he awakened the Shinju is Boruto's theory because of Otsutsuki shenanigans. He's part Otsutsuki, therefore he's not affected. There, I just wrote it in for you.
But that doesn't apply to the love charm as we've seen already, so we can't do that. It hasn't protected him from the love charm. So we're not
Honestly,
gonna
well, I
say
don't-
he's immune to one thing.
Could also be he's going to the Ten Tails mentions to get the Ten Tails. Maybe if he can't bring the Ten Tails, or if he can't bring Kawaki to the Ten Tails, he'll bring the Ten Tails to Kawaki. Just out of a rage thing. It's like a last resort thing. He's backed into a corner. He says, "Screw it."
Because maybe like
He just doesn't
Damon
care
is just
anymore. Yeah.
in the way. Well, that doesn't have to do with omnipotence in that case, but
Oh, it gets Code to go to the Ten Tails dimension instead of just randomly being there for a reason.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
You could also
And then
say
he's
it
just
brings
the role reversal.
What
doesn't
about
have-
this? It brings the Ten Tails to the real world, and because Code's controlling the Ten Tails, during the time he's controlling it, he's immune. He's
You know,
Otsutsuki when he's
honestly, I thought of
controlling
another one. You might find this goofy, but to some extent, it does kind of just make sense. What if Ada's desire just desired everyone in the Leaf Village to have the role reversal, not the rest of the world? Because, you know, Gara wasn't after Kawaki, it was the Leaf Villagers. What if she just like only was thinking about the Leaf Villagers at the time?
it. That's fine.
And so Code's just not immune because
if you're fine with
It's
2
not
Blue
Leaf Villager.
Vortex just writing out the rest of the world anyways. Because remember, this isn't an Omnipotence rewrite. This is a Code
well, they might be doing
invasion
that anyway.
rewrite. And so Boruto still should lose everything in the same way, the same bad way. But just everyone has a role
I guess.
reversal. So I think
guess.
Code connecting to the Ten Tails in the way Obito or Madara did works, or even via the Claw Grimes he merges with the Ten Tails, maybe.
Code, you know, so this is an interesting one. Of course, in this case, you would be losing Code, but yeah, you could just do a thing to where Code actually just merges with the Ten Tails / becomes a Jinchuriki out of a rage, and over time he just turns into Jura. That also depends on like what we're gonna do with Code, but I don't want to lose Code though is the problem. But
That's a lot of things. For me, the Boruto versus Kawaki stuff, we've already talked about it so much in the other rewrite that I feel like you just apply pretty much everything from there to here now in this Code invasion.
correct,
So
yeah.
I feel like there's a lot left.
And then
to
same
talk
with
about in terms of that.
Well, the Code invasion was just leading up to that.
Yeah.
So from there, all the stuff we said remains the same. Same with Mitsuki. Like we're gonna keep a lot of the stuff the same. Of course, in that case, though, that depends on the lead up. So, like I said, you could do a thing to where Mitsuki's the reason basically Kawaki can't kill Boruto. He's chasing after Kawaki to Death's End. Kawaki gets like a minute to see Ada, rants, and then Omnipotence happens. So then Mitsuki goes back to Boruto instead of Kawaki in this case. And then you get that whole fight, my Mitsuki rewrite basically. And then Kawaki goes back to kill Boruto again and so on. That's all fine and dandy. Now it's just a matter of like, what are we doing with Code? Like, the other question, beginning of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, is Code invading again, or are we just going to remove that?
That's a rewrite for
Did it
another
just-
day.
Yeah.
I feel
Fair
like
enough.
there's aspects you could do.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a thing to where Boruto goes after Code or something instead, like the reverse, but I don't know. Kind of tricky there.
What I
Well, anyway,
don't like,
That was quite the derail.
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
like Code invading the village after 3 years because I'm gonna make Boruto come to me. Oh, I'm sick of waiting around.
Yeah, no, especially given his reasoning for not invading before is because of Aiden and Damon, who are still there.
It's the worst reason they could have gone with.
Yeah.
Or no, actually, I can think of a worse reason. The reason he invades is to defeat Ada and Ada and Damon, so that he can invade the Leaf Village, so that they're out of the way.
I guess that would be that would be worse. The only thing that's worse.
That's going in the abridged.